Welcome to Yurix AI. This is lecture 8 of LLMs from scratch, Zero to Builder. Today, we're diving into something that is absolutely fundamental, yet honestly, it's often skipped over in basic AI courses. We are talking about tokenization. Specifically, we're going to master Byte Pair Encoding, or BPE. So what is tokenization? Well, it's essentially the way we chop up raw human text into readable, bite-sized pieces that an AI can actually process and understand. Here's our agenda for today's explainer, setting out our exact learning objectives. First, we'll look at why we actually need BPE. Then, we'll compare word-level versus character-level tokenizers and introduce the concept of subword tokenization. After that, we'll walk through the exact steps of the BPE algorithm, see its role in modern LLMs, and finally, we'll wrap up with a practical Python BPE demo. Let's get right into it. Section 1. Why we need BPE.
So before an AI can learn to write poetry or analyze code or answer your questions, it needs a tokenizer. It needs a way to translate and chop text into readable numbers. And to really grasp why this matters so much, we first need to define a term you'll hear a lot, which is a corpus. Now, a corpus is simply the massive training data set of text that we use to teach a large language model. When we feed this absolute mountain of data into our model, we have to tokenize it first. If our tokenizer is inefficient or clunky, well, the AI is fundamentally going to struggle to learn the deep underlying connections between words. We need an optimal, really sophisticated way to break down this corpus.
That brings us to Section 2, Word versus Character Tokens.
Historically, AI builders were kind of stuck. They had to choose between two extreme ends of a spectrum. If we go at the first extreme, a purely word-based tokenizer, where every single whole word gets converted into one unique token, we immediately hit a massive brick wall. And that wall is known as out-of-vocabulary, or OOV. OOV happens when a user types a word the AI has literally never seen before in its training data. Because the word isn't in its fixed pre-memorized dictionary, the AI just panics, it crashes, or it throws an error. It's kind of like if you were studying for a test your whole life, and then you get a question in a completely different language. This historical dilemma left developers really trapped. See, a word-level tokenizer is great on one hand, because sentences become very short token sequences. But the cons are huge. It requires a massive dictionary. We're talking over 170,000 words for English alone, and it constantly suffers from those severe out-of-vocabulary errors we just talked about. Now, on the exact opposite end of the spectrum is the character-level tokenizer. Here, we chop everything down to individual letters. The pros? Well, you get a tiny vocabulary of just 256 English characters, which means absolutely zero OOV errors. You can literally piece together any new word. But the cons are just as bad. The word dinosaur suddenly takes 8 separate tokens to process, creating massively long sequences for the AI to read. And even worse, chopping words into single letters totally strips them of their fundamental root meanings.
So we have a real problem here, right? Word level is way too rigid and bloated. Character level is way too fragmented and, honestly, meaningless. So how do we get the best of both worlds? How do we avoid those out-of-vocabulary crashes without completely losing the underlying meaning of human language?
Enter Section 3, Subword Tokenization, the perfect middle ground. This middle ground solution is essentially the Goldilocks of tokenizers, and it operates beautifully on just 2 golden rules. Rule 1, keep frequent words whole. If the word boy appears constantly in our dataset, we just keep it together as one solid token. Simple enough. Rule 2, split rare words into smaller, meaningful chunks. So if the word boys is pretty rare in our data, we don't go and memorize a brand new separate token just for it. Instead, we split it into the subword boy and a letter S. This is incredibly clever because it captures the shared root meaning while keeping our total vocabulary size amazingly efficient.
Section 4, BPE algorithm steps. Let's see exactly how this works under the hood. Let's look at exactly how byte pair encoding mathematically uncovers these subwords through 4 simple, repetitive steps. First, we split all our training data into individual characters. Then, step 2, we find the most frequent adjacent pair of tokens. Step 3, we merge that pair into a brand new subword token. And finally, step 4, we repeat this iteratively. To make this super clear, think of BPE like creating custom keyboard shortcuts on your phone. Imagine you type the letters E and S together so often that you create a custom shortcut button just for E's. Later you realize, hey, I type E's and T together constantly too, so you merge those into an S shortcut button. You basically just keep creating these custom combination shortcuts for your most frequent typing patterns until you run out of shortcut slots. Let's see how this builds using a practical example from our dataset, looking at the words finest and lowest. In the data, you might notice a /W tag, which just tells the computer it's the end of a word. So initially, everything is split into single characters, F, I, N, E, S, T. In iteration 1, the algorithm scans the data, calculates that the letters E, S appear next to each other the most often, and merges them. Bam! Now ES is a single token. In iteration 2, it scans everything again, sees our new ES token frequently sitting right next to the letter T, and logically merges them into the new token est. And guys, this brilliantly illustrates the real aha moment of today's explainer. Without being taught a single rule of English grammar, this simple, repetitive mathematical algorithm magically uncovers common root words. By simply merging the most frequent pairs based purely on data, BPE figures out entirely on its own that est is a fundamental, meaningful building block of our language. It does the exact same thing to discover roots like old in words like older and oldest. It is frankly amazing.
Moving on to Section 5, BPE in modern LLMs.
What's absolutely fascinating to me is that byte pair encoding wasn't even invented for artificial intelligence. It was originally published way back in 1994 as a simple data compression algorithm. But today, it is the exact clever middle ground that real generative AI models rely on to process human language. It is literally the core tokenizer engine behind GPT-2, GPT-3, and the models powering ChatGPT today. This isn't just some academic theory we're talking about. This is the very foundation running under the hood of the AI platforms you interact with every single day. To truly put this into perspective, just look at this number, 50,257. Because BPE mathematically finds the absolute optimal mix of whole words, subwords, and single characters, the exact vocabulary size used to train GPT-2 was reduced down to just 50,257 tokens. That is a massive, highly efficient reduction compared to the 170,000 plus words in the standard English dictionary. It completely solves the memory bloat issues of those older tokenizers we talked about.
Finally, Section 6, Practical Python BPE Demo. Now that we really understand the incredible theory behind this, let's get our hands a little dirty. As builders, you can easily use OpenAI's open-sourced official BPE library, which is called TickToken. To use it in Python, you simply run pip install TickToken in your terminal. Then you initialize it by calling get_encoding GP2. And from there, it is remarkably simple. You use the .encode method to compress any raw text string into a sequence of numerical token IDs, and you use the .decode method to translate those IDs right back into readable human text. We can actually test the true resilience of BPE right now with this library. If you feed the TickToken encoder completely unknown random gibberish, like this string of letters, AKWRWER, a legacy word-level tokenizer would instantly crash with an out-of-vocabulary error. But BPE, it doesn't even break a sweat. It elegantly falls back to smaller subwords or even individual character tokens to encode the gibberish flawlessly. It completely guarantees that your application won't crash when it encounters weird internet slang or typos or just random keyboard mashes. So, to quickly recap our explainer today, byte pair encoding is the ultimate Goldilocks solution. By iteratively merging frequent character pairs into meaningful subwords, it strikes the perfect balance. It drastically reduces our vocabulary size, it magically retains the root meanings of human language without ever being taught grammar, and it completely eliminates those nasty out-of-vocabulary errors. It is the just right tokenizer that makes modern LLMs entirely possible. If you found this technical breakdown helpful and want to keep building your skills, please like, share, subscribe to Yurix AI for a new lecture every day. Hit the bell. Your support keeps these deep dives coming. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Byte pair encoding is a purely data-driven, highly adaptable algorithm, right? So if a BPE-trained LLM suddenly encountered a completely new alien language, how would its tokens organically adapt and merge based on the sheer frequency of those new alien symbols? Think about the possibilities of that. Keep building, and I will see you in the next lecture.